I'm a guy that's 24. Each day I build some more. I like episode 7 and episode 8. I'm Rich Boy J. Hello boyos, Rich Boy J here, back in with another video, and today we are going to have another episode of the Starkiller base MOC build series. This is episode number 38. Before we get into the actual content, I do want to give a very special thanks to those of you who contributed via donations on the live stream. So shout out to Lamborghini Waffle Sauce, LEGGO Soldier 82, Brave Patriot, Bricktorian Gaurd, Mcbrick, Exotrooper, Wyatt Russell, Xavier Sorrent, Ethan Blissett, UltraXFalcon, Harutyun, Brix Films, Galactic 501st Bricks, Lord of the Bricks, and LEGGO Myke. You guys are awesome. I always appreciate it when you guys contribute to the builds. It means so much, and it helps make these things possible. Secondly, I want to say that if you guys are not tuning into the live streams, I definitely urge you to do so. They are just an incredible time. Ask anyone who watches them. Like, I think for the most part, people will agree that they are just a very entertaining way to spend your time if you're not yet sold from these videos. In terms of this week, my goal was to finish the Snoke hologram room. I have been working on this for so long, it feels like at this point, and we are just on the verge of greatness. We are on the verge of completing this build. So I'm not gonna hold you guys too long. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. To start things off this week, I went ahead and just kept working on the rock work, just really expanding it to actually fill up the gaps of those pillars that they're between, and it's looking mostly good. I still have some of those gaps to fill in, like this section in here, but it is much better than it was before. I also did the same with this middle section, so we're good to go there for the most part. The other thing I began implementing were these little vents down here. Basically, there's some red lights that are going to be poking through them, so you can see they basically line the edges of the build. I honestly love the way these came out, and this is pretty significant progress. The approach I really have been taking to a lot of this room is, like, I guess the half approach, you can coin it. Basically, rather than, you know, going from one side and then duplicating it on the other, you figure everything out on one complete side, because, you know, you just have to mirror that. So rather than, you know, trying it multiple times to see if it'll work, you do it once on one side, and then, you know, you're good to go for the rest of it. So I'm still going to continue mainly working on this left side of the build, and then we'll have to mirror that hopefully by the end of this episode. But the other thing I started implementing that you guys will be pretty excited about is an actual ceiling. I had a lot of people mention that, you know, this would look nicer with some sort of ceiling, and my boy Lamborghini Waffle Sauce even mentioned to maybe try out a partial ceiling. So I got a few ideas from him and Enthert to basically just have these pillars be what brace this part of the ceiling. And this part is actually accurate. There are windows at the top of Snoke's hologram room that you can see right now. So it's nice to preserve a bit of accuracy in this build as well. This ceiling is basically just going to extend around the edges of all of the build. I still need to figure it out for that section and that section. And then once again, with the half method, you basically would just be mirroring that on the other side. So like I said, we're going to continue working on this side of the build. A few things I need to do are actually stabilize those two pillars, because there aren't very many connections with those to the actual base plates. I'm going to also work on filling in the gaps to make it just perfect, and hopefully even get these two sections of the ceiling implemented. If I could get all those things done in this next part, I'll be super happy, because that means I can just literally just mirror everything, and we'll mostly be good to go with this throne room. So let's go ahead and continue on the build. All right, guys, check this out. We got a ceiling, or at least a partial ceiling, here in Snoke's throne room, and it's looking incredible. This room is really coming together. This episode, I wanted to get as close as I possibly could to just finishing this room. There are a few roadblocks in the way, unfortunately. I'll just get those out of the way right up front. Basically, the 1x1 plates that I need to construct these, I ran out, so I had to order a bunch more, as well as those 1x4 tiles with the 2 studs on either end. So those are going to be coming in. I have these 3 mostly finished, but I still need to finish the ones that are going to be over here. The other thing that I actually added to just this one right here, and this is actually a really good solution to this. I was trying to figure out how I would kind of project that red glow. Like at first, I just had them basically where you could see straight through it, kind of like those over there. And then I realized I could probably like wedge some 1x2 red plates in there. I don't love the fact that the studs are showing, but I don't think that's going to be a big deal whenever I actually shine the lights through the bottom of them. So that was basically a pretty straightforward solution to me being able to have red lights glowing through these vents on the sides of the walls. So that's actually something I'm going to need to do on this one and this one over here, because they have already been built, but they do not have the red plates sandwiched in between them. In regards to the actual ceiling, I made a few modifications to either side of it, but for the most part, it's the same that I did over on the left side initially. I just basically needed a partial slanted covering to kind of basically just be like the edge of the top of the ceiling of the MOC, and it looks pretty incredible in my opinion. You'll notice that I'm actually using some trans black 1x6x5 panels right here, and there's just the trans clear ones right next to it. I actually did place an order to get more trans black ones. I like that more. I like the tinted look to it, and that's what I'm going to replace all of these with. But in the meantime, I just put the trans clear ones because I had them, and I wanted to give you guys an idea of what this room would look like. So there are a few things we're going to need to work on to really get this room complete. For one, I need to do the pipes. You can see the only rock wall with pipes on them is this one right here. So I'm going to need to do the piping all the way around this room, which is a pretty simple task. It's not going to be super difficult. That's really the reason I didn't go ahead and do that, because that's something I can add on pretty easily after the fact. The other thing I'm going to need to do is actually install these rock walls right here that go on the basically edge of the base plate. I need one over there and one on this side as well. I'd honestly kind of forgotten about them, and then I was like, oh crap, like something actually needs to go here. So I'm going to need to go ahead and install those walls on either side, and we'll be good to go with most of the room. And then of course, once again, build up the big walls that are going to be on the sides here. But everything is just proceeding so well. This room is really coming together. So what I'm actually going to do right now is work on installing these rock walls on the sides of the room, and then I'll check right back in with you guys. Woo! This MOC is really something else. So we finally have the viewing border of the window here in the build. This will make it basically match the outside of the other side of the build, which is the hangar. You remember that there's the same kind of thing on that side of the build, and I like it because it creates a nice just visual border for the outside of the MOC. It kind of brings everything all together, if I might say so. The other thing I worked on are the pipes. So we have pipes going around those bigger wall sections on the back of the build. Unfortunately, I do not have enough of those pieces to do it on this side or this side over here. So those are just gonna have to be orders that I place. Basically at this point, I've done all that I can do on this room with the pieces that I have. As much as I would have really liked to have just had the room completely done for this episode, I know it wasn't for a lack of time, but instead a lack of parts. And it also just lets me know that we would definitely have this room completed for the next episode. That's going to include lights. That's going to include getting these vent sections filled in all the way around. It's going to include the pipes on those sides of the walls, and a few other things I need to smooth out. I guess also the windows at the top, making all of them that trans black color. So there are a few things that are going to be modified for this build for next week, but I think I'm so happy to be where I am at this point. Like, this room was not easy at all. I cannot stress that enough. This was such a complicated room to figure out when it came to the rock technique, which took forever, getting all these walls to line up and not have gaps peeking through. It's still not perfect. There's still some light that shines through. This won't be nearly as big of an issue when this is actually placed in the build, because there's going to be things behind it that'll cause shadows. There's not just going to be like a white wall behind it. So we should be good to go for the most part there. But just, this room was so tedious. Like, it was just so much to figure out, so many unique building techniques, especially with everything angled, but I don't think I could be any happier with the way that it's come out. I think that the Snoke, the main area of this build, just came out so nicely, and then just having the background with that unique rock technique really just makes everything look so good. I feel like I say this about every section that I complete on this build, but this alone can constitute a pretty large scale MOC. Like, I think the video doesn't really do it justice just how big this is, but if you look at even the table that it's sitting on, this build takes up like half of a table. This is huge, and it's tall as well. So this is really what I want Starkiller base to be characterized by. You know, if you look at it from afar, it's like, wow, that's a big build. But if you really take the time to look up close, you'll see rooms like these where I really made such an effort to concentrate on the details and ensure that everything was as accurate as it could be. And I'm just so happy with the way this came out. My next real concern is just going to be how we're going to build on top of this, because there are going to be probably around 3 or so levels to this section of the build. If you remember, the hangar section was maybe like twice this height. So if this is going to be on the other side of the build, it needs to, match its height just so that everything flows well with the build. So basically right above this room, we're going to have a first order cafeteria. And I'm thinking about doing a hallway like right here that actually goes back into the MOC a little bit. And then at the corner, I'm thinking we'll have the room where Rey is actually being interrogated. So those are my plans for the top, and then there might actually be a third level above that with rooms that I'm honestly not sure what they'll be. I feel like I have so many options of things I can put into this build, and I've kind of held off on really thinking super hard about what rooms I want to incorporate, but it seems like now's the time. Now's the time to really hammer home what interior rooms I want to incorporate. So that's actually something I'd like to put in the comment section. Let me know what rooms you would like to see in this build, guys. I have a pretty good idea of what I want for the most part, but maybe you guys have thought of something that I haven't thought of. So let me know in the comment section below what you think of it. But that's pretty much it this week in terms of what we got built. Let me actually get you guys some more camera angles on the inside of this. I especially love having the ceiling for shots like this, where you're just kind of looking at Snoke and whoever he's talking to on this platform down here. It's nice to have the ceiling kind of come up a bit more as opposed to it just kind of stopping where the top of the rocks stop. So this makes it look much more like its own enclosed room, which is exactly what you want to go for with this. If you want to get even more up-close shots at Snoke, once again, the background just looks so nice. This is what I really wanted out of this build. Shots like these where, you get up close to this character and then you have the rock work behind him just looking so nice and so detailed. It's so fulfilling for me. But let's go ahead and move to the end segment of the video, guys. And that's going to finish up the video today, guys. I hope you enjoyed checking out Starkiller. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get the room quite done, but it is so close to being done. And I can almost promise you it will absolutely be done for the next update. That's not the only thing we're going to work on this week, though. This week, I'm going to work on the rooms above the throne room, which I'm sure you guys are going to be super excited for. We have a cafeteria that I have to build, a bit of an Easter egg, a bit of a big Easter egg, honestly, that I'm going to incorporate into that cafeteria, as well as hopefully the room where Rey is being interrogated by Kylo Ren. So you guys definitely want to stay tuned. There's just so much to look forward to on this build. It's a long process, but it's one that once we look back on these weeks, these months, this literally a year at this point, it's going to be special. I really do think this build is going to be special. So if you guys like what I do, go ahead and support the build by hitting the like button, support the channel by smashing that subscribe button, and I'll be back again very soon.